So, after 1.5 months, we're finally resuming with the EUROPA playthrough that I started in October 2025, with a station that is now over 100 hours old, so that's the most elaborate station I have built so far. Since that was such a long time ago, let's take a look around. All of these I drilled free manually so that I have some space for the rover to go, but I haven't yet used it. Haven't yet used the rover. This here is an airlock actually. I'm just currently cycling, and I realized it would be cooler if the thing would indicate whether it would be cycling so that I know what's going on. I mean, I know what's going on, but do I? So that's not optimal. I should actually have an LED here that says what the state of the airlock is. Cycling. Or whatever, you know, stuff like that. Could even have multiple of these. One out there, one in here. And then just batch ride them and yeah, problem solved. That's a nice idea. That's a good start, I would say. I mean, to have such a nice idea. I'm not gonna do that immediately. Here's the airlock. It repressurizes, yep, that's what's happening right this moment, down there. And then when the pressure has equalized to what level I wanted, I don't know what that is, 80 kilopascals, I don't know, I don't remember. And or when that is empty, the door here will open. And yeah, then I can finally get into the station. Which has a pressure of 90-ish kilopascals, so... But it's nicely equalized, so I mean this thing with the explosive decompression, that would be a bit much. Hey, and before I do anything else, now that I'm thinking of it, I realized that in between the developers have done some things. For example, they've made it possible for these things to be spray painted. So let's do that, so that the airlock looks less fuggly. Is everything working? Recording, sound, blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah. And let me just check the quality settings. I don't know if they are adapted to this playthrough. Medium tessellation is just on the threshold between fugly and impacting FPS too much. This is fine. Extreme render distance. Terrain detail medium is also quite sufficient. Minor but medium, shadows high but not extreme because it's too extreme. Distant shadows I leave off, anti-aliasing I leave on something fast. That's why we get these weird artifacts on screen, which I can't quite understand, but then again I've never developed a 3D engine or 3D engine game. Texture quality high because that's not the problem whatsoever. Target frame rate irrelevant since we are using VSync. Okay, artifacts, I mean, there, can you see that? Where there's like the atmosphere is cooking there? That's the wind turbines and the very back rotating, for whatever reason, affecting the temporal anti-aliasing pixel emergence over multiple frames. That's weird, man. So this is finally me, possibly the first time, maybe not, resuming a playthrough that I have spent a lot of time on after having paused it for some significant time, because normally I somehow always pivot to something new. And I have a bunch of new games that I wanted to play and work with and so forth, but I don't know, I was kind of in an inert state yesterday afternoon. Yesterday was Thursday, the the 1st of this year. Now we have the 2nd of January 2026. And I was trying to do something and record a video because it's, I mean, it's routine. I love to do that. And then I couldn't. And then I thought, okay, let's just resume listening to Jake Abel's rendition of Stephanie Meyer's book Midnight Sun, which I listened to like 2 times already, and recently started another listen, while playing either Flight of, almost want to say Flight of Holon, because Holon4662 on YouTube had recommended a few games to me. I don't recall if you also recommended Derail Valley. I don't know where that recommendation came from. Yesterday I did some research, I couldn't find it, but he at least recommended Flight of Nova to me, which is really great. And in case you haven't heard yet, I asked the dev for a beta participation, and so he said, yep, you're on the list now. So if in January, February, whatever, the next beta private test starts, I will be on it. And yes, I'm allowed to make videos about that. He says, yeah, that's even welcome to give it more exposure. So then I can show you the new stuff. It looks kind of better. And has also recommended Railroads to me. So what I would be playing then is either a Flight of Nova, which is very chill, or I would be, I would be playing Receiver 2, which is really growing on me, apart from the fact, really, that really stupid developer decision that he said, well, unconditionally, if you die, you will fall back an entire level. Dude, the amount of times I had to enter the cheat code to get to the next level, and only to a level I have been on, obviously, because I just want to cancel out that stupid, annoying thing that, you know, proves that that was, at least for me, not the right decision, and I would have to turn that option off if there were an option, but there is none. So every time I type the word insight, like insightful, E-N-S-I-G-H-T, if I pronounce it correctly, spell that correctly, to get to the next level, which will be the level on which I was. Okay, so we have now seen the garage kind of thing where I came in. We have also seen some spray painting. Yes, we can spray paint things in Stationeers. You didn't know that. Now I told you. So good that we have this channel. And now let me show the rest. Here we have my storage room, which is not yet quite organized, even though it looks like it. There's just lots of potential over here. Here we'll eventually have a door. Once this here will be a corridor instead of just the blueprint, footprint, foundation for a corridor. And then we can walk right through here, and so whatever section that will be very polished. That's the goal, because this room here looks already pretty polished. I mean, if the lockers would be closed, you would agree. And well, in here we have a shredder, fully programmed, and a centrifuge, also fully programmed. So over here we're going to the more elaborate, more living quarters kind of areas of the station. And fuck me sideways, when I started this playthrough, I forgot the thing that I want to do for the longest time. I want to do a playthrough where I first play the robot, set up the station so that it's nice and working. Then I switch to the human while the robot is some kind of hibernation pod thing. That is possible, I tried this multiple times. And then when the human has built the station to maybe this degree, then the Zrillion comes in, and then things resume from there. Haven't done that yet, damn it. And I can't do it here because then I would have to have started with a robot. Damn it, so I have to start another playthrough, still again, at some point. Anyway, so yesterday I felt completely nullified, and so I then resorted to just listening to that audiobook. And today, the same, and I thought, God fucking damn it, I feel I want to do something. But I also feel like I want to just sit on my ass, and that's not a will, you know, it's just a feeling in the body. It's like, you know, like, it's kind of like weakness. Only I know it's not weakness, it's just the configuration that I currently have. So how do I deal with that? And then I said, well, the best thing to deal with that, and it's not the first time that I use that solution, is to pivot to the more established paths within my decision flow, within my decision system and activities. Like, for example, making a Stationeers video. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm making now this episode, oops, the hem's close. Episode 30, finally, of this one. Yeah, okay, let me just keep looking at the rest. This was the first hall. Of course, it didn't look like that in the first moment. Here is my oxygen refiller thing. And here my stacker thing, which automatically turns on and sets itself to 500 or whatever the current setting is. 200. Or something in between even, I think. Oh, no, it's... Yeah, okay. The 4 basic printers. I mean, advanced, modded to level 2, but, you know, the ones that we always need. I also have a rocket manufactory, but we're gonna get to that. This thing pumps in oxygen whenever it can, and there's some multiple rules applying to this thing. The temperature of the station must not fall too much, the pressure must not rise too much, and I think there's even a max level for the oxygen. Why is this? God damn it, Rocketworks, please fix the things that you have already in the game before adding new things. So what do we have here? Is this thing active? Is this live right now? Let's open the canister. It is not, and I find that disappointing, because at one point it was, and there was even an explicit point, even I believe in a news post that they made, that like the nearest 3 or so of these devices on a table would be rendering constantly, and the next ones not so much. So, no, you know, for performance reasons. But now this thing isn't updating, you saw it, huh? So 90 degrees, 49% oxygen, CO2, that, okay, fine. What you can see is the remnants of one of the last things that happened in episode 29, 1.5 months ago, because what I'm wearing here, my hardsuit helmet and my hardsuit suit are new. Yeah, because I just made the advanced alloys, and the first thing, of course, that I printed was this. Maybe I should still spray paint this dude. Oh, I can't. That's awkward. Right mouse button doesn't work now. Does it work now? Okay, let's see if that did the right thing. It did. Interesting to know. Okay. Yeah, I can now start programming this thing. Like, whoops, there's no atmosphere. Let's close the helmet. That's better, I guess. Or there's atmosphere and open it. And here we have a fresh batch of oxygen. You can also empty that. Now it will be completely evacuated, which is useful if you have some polluted canister that you want to refill with pure oxygen. And whenever I take this thing out here, so whenever there's nothing in here, this little pipe here, this little pipe piece will be evacuated, so this pipe piece here will never be responsible, except if I do a direct swap, instead of taking out the canister, like I just did, or polluting the canister. So it's a pretty good solution. That's where the gas is being pumped away, and yeah. What's that? That tweety thing? Well, this thing is connected. This is set to. Well, let me just see, because I keep forgetting how the logic works here. So this thing is currently set to active, and it is assigned to. Okay, I cannot reproduce this right now. This one shuts up the storm warning that would come out of here while it's going, but whenever the storm is actually already here, or right now where there's no storm, this switch will be forced closed, because it would be bad if I missed out on the storm because I had that muted. My logic programming room, which was originally a plan, but I think I will actually resort to only placing these guys on location, which is interesting because at some point in the future, the devs have already said the circuitry, there will be multiple different ones. Probably, it's not a very cemented thing, but it's some relatively concrete plan that will have a different amount of lines, possibly different commands that you can use, or fewer commands. They will be dependent on the atmosphere around it, so you cannot just place them on Vulcan on the outside like this, nothing. No, they will have to have their own environment, and that will make the idea of placing them on location where you think it's most efficient to do that maybe either less efficient, or you will have to think of more stuff in that place. My battery room, and there are multiple batteries in here. 1, 2, and so forth. Right beyond here we have, guess what? Another battery room, that over there, and you can see this here, this is that foundation of that corridor thing. So over there we have actually another airlock that's using the same source code as the airlock you already saw with the garage. So it's also a bigger one, not as big as this. This is actually a first floor. We'll just show you that soon enough. Why am I showing you that? You saw the playthrough, or you didn't, who knows? Because I don't remember, and I want to get back into the flow of this, like I really just made this is mine, this is my will, and then resonate with it, and then continue from there. So this is the main power station. We have multiple power lines going from here, and
pressure critical, oxygen critical.
And the 500 kilowatt lines, they were introduced after episode 29, this is episode 30, so I didn't yet have access to it, else I would have made this one, these ones here, bigger, obviously. This one goes here to the rocket center, and this one goes over here, green, to the greenhouse that's in the works. We'll get to that. So that's the electricity room. Here we have a wind park, which I could have separated into more transformers, into more parts for when there's a storm going, but I don't know. Didn't feel like it. Yet, whatever. Yes, I have a million things to do, isn't there? Okay, here we have a solar park, and that one is really superfluous because it only produces like, I believe, 5 megawatts? Or was it even less? 500 kilowatts? I don't remember. It was very low during the day. Oh, we can see that the sun isn't too far away. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention, this playthrough always uses 200 seconds per day night cycle. 200 minutes instead of 20 minutes. That's why we have this here. Oh, there's an exception. Anyway. Original timescale was 0.3, but I set it to 0.03, which is 1/10, so it will take 10 times the duration. And the difficulty is Stationeer. Yeah, I forgot some. Over here we have, this is not broken, but it's showing the overall power level of the main power room that I just showed you, so you can see how much energy is left for the station. Haha. And it also gives you some kind of central location and pillar, and I built this higher and higher, and then eventually added this power display functionality as the station, as this base was growing, to express also the level, basically. But now I think I've leveled up enough to just, you know, there's 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. The topmost one is blue. And here we have my furnace, fully manual, but with some chutes to be a bit more effective. Here, in case of shenanigans, I can put in some gas, in case I put in too many things and the thing froze basically while it was melting, and so the lid is now closed, never opens again. Here I can add some gas and ignite it again, and things are fine. Is there something in there? No. What's going on here? I don't know. Let me just check, because it's not that unimportant. Hey, why is this up here? That's an interesting solution. Did you just see that? The window order was wrong, so I sorted here this, and this meant that this was hypothetically placed in a different place, so all windows that are dependent would have to be closed, and afterwards then I opened the window and then it was down here. So that's an interesting fix. So there's something in here. We see 31 megapascals, 177 degrees Celsius, which is slowly cooling down, I would assume. Yeah, it's convecting and radiating stuff away. Up here we have actually a pipe whose purpose is explicitly to radiate stuff away. But the radiators that I have for that, for whatever reason, are not lying around here, and I have put them up there. And then I programmed something here with the chip that will give me, with my advanced tablet, one of the advanced tablets that I have. I think I have 2 on me, don't I? Shouldn't I have 2 on me? Give it 80 Atmos will give me a notification that there's something wrong here, and that I need to deal with that. I should actually look at the source code there, because I don't remember which tablet it was connected to and what things it would then warn me of. Yeah, again, thanks to the Master Maximus for this very cool idea to just rename the thing that you work with currently most in a way that it would put it alphabetically first, because whenever you have any change here on the networks or build some stuff, this drop down here will resort to the first entry, and then you're importing and exporting in a way that you really didn't want. So just, you know, this solves it pretty much. Alrighty, what am I doing then here? Logic transmitter is what I'm defining. Furnace gas reclamation, yep, that's the thing that we just saw out there, this filtration unit, which is connected to the furnace. And then it's connected to the AT Atmos, Advanced Tablet Atmos, which I just held in my hand and showed you the name of. Define bullet point sound 10. What is that? Well, speaker. 10 is just some alarm sound. What is a bullet point then? Well, let's continue with the source code. So here's the main loop. Any subroutines? No, so it's very self-contained. Start, yield, move SP as in stack pointer 0. I'm telling the stack pointer be at 0, which is one of the official registers. Then I'm loading from the furnace gas reclamation the setting. Why am I loading the setting? Is setting the thing that I want to load? Oh, I think there's a programming error here, a bad one. Why setting? Or is that wait, sorry, I have to check if there's a chip out there that actually gives the answer to that. Didn't I have a tablet, laptop on me? Or is that flying around here somewhere? Oh, there it is. Is there a chip in there? There is a chip in there, and it's size 533. Okay, so I assume that the setting is just the general value that I... No, I don't understand. What is the setting? Why the setting? Import. And check it out. What's happening? Logic transmitter. Furnace gas reclamation. Structure furnace, and not furnace, which some people for whatever reason write. Then we have the main loop, start, yield. I'm loading from the furnace the temperature and turning it to Celsius. And if there's less than 100 Celsius, then we will have a 1 in R1. So then I'm loading from the furnace the pressure into R0, and I'm branching relative by 2 lines if that is greater than 5. So if there's pressure in there, then I do care about the temperature. If there's no pressure in there, then I don't. Because if the pressure is not greater than 5, then I will move R1, I will override that with a 0. So the alarm that would come then when the pressure is below 100 would just be notified. So that's R1 containing the furnace statement. Then I'm loading here the temperature output of the filtration unit, turning that into Celsius. If there's less than 100 degrees Celsius, and R2 will be 1. Then I'm multiplying R2 with 2. Why am I doing that? I don't know. Loading into R0, pressure output 2, so we have temperature output and pressure output, and if that is greater than 5, so there's still something in there, then I will branch relative by 2 lines. But if it's not, if the pressure is very low, then I will just override this quasi alarm in R2. I will override that with a 0. Then I will add into R0 R1 and R2, so the alarm value here, which is 0 or 1, and the alarm value here, which is 0 or 2, I will add together. So now I have a binary statement. So that's the reason why I have this, I guess. This is actually one of those opportunities where there should be a comment here explaining why are you doing this. Otherwise, try to keep the comments low, because comments are source code. You have to change your comments when you change your source, but the computer will not tell you that your comments are wrong. But your comments will steer you in the wrong way, and then you will tell the computer things that you shouldn't tell it, or you will be confused and wasting time. So, comments, less is more. And then I will write that to the setting, that explains it, of the logic transmitter furnace gas reclamation. And where is that thing then? There it is, that's the furnace gas reclaim load trans. And this one is set to active. When I click here, set passive, set active, and can we see the screw here? No device. It's not set to anything because this thing will just hold a value. This thing is active. It is the one that is the source of information. This one is transmitting, so to speak. It's a logic transmitter and is transmitting this value. It's not set to a device because that's not how this works. So it's a bit convoluted how the devs implemented this, but fine. Yeah, at some point I should turn these into fully automatic walkthrough programmed airlocks instead of this shit. But okay, at some point. Yeah, then we have a logic transmitter here, which is for the speaker weather. Then we have a logic transmitter here, which is for the furnace gas reclaim, and then we have the Atmos. So this one is receiving, is for receiver. Let's see, is that switch here? Set active. So this one is set to passive, and the device that it is receiving its information from, the active device, is the furnace gas reclaim load trans. So this one will have the setting value of the other thing, which I can then read out here. And this one is, I would say, active again. It is not. What does it do then? No, well, it's set to the tablet. It's passively mirroring the tablet. Yes, yeah, whatever, okay. So then the source. We're loading the setting value from the logic transmitter that we have in here, and then I am creating into R1 and R2 the binary extracted value. I'm saying end this with 1, end this with 2, and so I then will have the value 1 in here and the value 2 in here if those had been transmitted respectively. Is furnace below 100 degrees Celsius, and also the not the pressure. The pressure is not transmitted as information. And is furnace gas reclamation below 100 degrees Celsius. If R1 is equal to 0, I don't have to actually turn these into bits again, I just need to check is it 0 or not 0, then furnace below the 0 is done. But if the furnace below 0 is taking place, then I want to have the bullet point sound at stack pointer value 0, and afterwards the stack pointer pointing to 1, which is what push does. And then I'm pushing 42, whatever that is, 42, 42, 42. Temperature low, and 28 says fire, fire, fire. So the associate, I mean, I cannot transmit arbitrary stuff here, so that will come maybe at some point in the future of Stationeers, but currently it definitely isn't in there. And goddammit, why the fuck, devs, did you do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 are missing? Dude. We cannot transmit numeric information now. I had to make up my own weird number system to transmit my distance to my tablet as I was mining in one of my EUROPA playthroughs, using a proximity sensor that was automatically set to a different distance until it would fire, and then the station would know how far away I was. So, temperature low, fire, fire, fire means the temperature is low in the furnace. Then next we have the furnace reclaim below 100. Bullet point sound, 42, temperature, pressure low, was it that? Pressure. Temperature low, yes, temperature low. Why temperature low? Yeah, because temperature is low, that's about temperature, sure. And then 20, depressurizing. Yeah, because I've needed something that is associated with atmosphere. So that's what then will happen. And what does that mean? What will then happen? In the end, I will push 0 to signify that the stack is, well, that the end of the meaningful content of the stack memory has been reached. And so if none of this will happen, then stack memory cell 0 will receive that 0. What happens after this? After this, I'm saying I want to count through the stack, so I'm using R0 to do that, and the initial position that I'm using is -1 because I have pre-increment. So we have a loop here, and the first thing that happens in the loop is that I add 1 to my pointer. So the first actual value that we work with is 0. Then I'm getting that value into R1 from the housing, and that's why we need the chip housing. You can also run the chip in one of the atmospheric units, but then you don't get access to the stack. The stack is on the chip, but to access the stack, you need the housing. It's a bit ridiculous if you ask me. I mean, I don't object to game balancing stuff like that, where the housing has more features, is more expensive, costs 50 watts, you know, that makes sense. But to need the housing to access something that is on the chip, that's weird. That's weird, man. Anyway, so this gives me access to that memory cell, and then I have this. What will I do then? Then I write that to the logic transmitter at Atmos, Advanced Tablet Atmos, which you saw on the right, on this wall here. I'm writing that sound in there. I'm saying sleep for 2 seconds to play that entire stupid sound, and then I'm saying loop over stack. So apparently that's all that's needed to play that sound alert. Is it? Doesn't this thing also have to be turned on? I think I forgot something in my programming here, dude. I think I did, actually. So let's look at the programming that I have done. Station 0 control import for the weather system notification, because that's the kind of stuff that I would have to do here then also. Weather, that sounds good. So at some point we are setting the speaker. How are we doing this? We are setting the speaker to be on, and then we are setting the I'm confused here. Where's the actual speaker actualization? SPK. Aha, here I'm setting mode storm incoming to SPK. But what about this other one? Alright, okay, that's programmed in the other part. See, I have another speaker with a storm warning over there in the rocket center that I didn't show you yet, at least in this video. And there's another chip that receives that value and then works with it, so I don't have to actually deal with the onness of that speaker here or whatever. So let's look at this. I'm saying speaker be on, and here I'm setting the sound of the speaker. And that's all I have to do, I guess. I will just play that sound endlessly. Huh. But, well, the speaker needs to be on-ish, right? Hey, wait, I still have my laptop here. Does it maybe do the speaker thing?
Hunger, caution.
No, that doesn't make sense. Wait, do I check? Oh, there's another part of the equation. Import. That settles it then, I guess. So what does this one do? Alias mode R15, alias on R14. Start, yield, start. That's all it does. What does it do then? It loads whether it is on, and if it is on, then we are done checking the on state. But if it is currently not on, then we're ending up here. And I'm checking if the thing that if this register that remembers whether it was on or whatever, if that is equal to on. So because, you know, if I turn off the tablet, if I'm checking here, is the tablet off, and then I'm flipping the mode, which is the purpose of this entire thing here, then I want to not do that the whole time. That only needs to happen when it flips to off. So so I'm loading, is it on? If it's on, then we're going down here and writing that it is on, or whether it is on, into R0, into on. But if it's not on, then I'm checking, is it equal to what I remembered on to be? If it's equal, then go down here. Like, for example, if it was turned off now, then we will do whatever, and in the next iteration it will still be off, and then we will find out that offness and on, they are equal, because this on here has been, this is saying off basically in that moment, so we'll jump down here. But if it was on and now it is off in this one tick here, then we flip the mode. And down here we write the mode. So this thing is actually not writing its speaker yet. Did I forget that? Oh, how does this work? Confused. Maybe we should test this. So let's just use the remote alerter thing here, edit, and pretend as if the thing has happened. I bet I did that actually. Move into R1, no, move into R0 the value 3, which is both bits are set. Remote alerter export.
Warning, temperature low. Fire, fire, fire. Warning, temperature low. Depressurizing. Warning, temperature low. Fire, fire,
So it
fire.
works.
Warning, temperature low.
Alrighty, so how does it actually play back that stuff? Where is that then? Down here, yeah. So it goes through the stack, writes that to the logic transmitter that transmits that to the tablet. Then I sleep, and then... and what value does it write? It writes R1, and if R1 is 0, like up here when we just pushed 0 to the 0 place, or when we're reaching the end of the stack, it will then basically play back silence. That's also why we have a pause at the end of this entire list of things that are being played. Yeah, that works. Hopefully. I haven't tested it yet. I mean, the situation has not arisen so far. Hopefully that works. Okay, let's resume the showing off of the station. No light in here? No, I don't want to disturb the solar panel's slumber. Man, what a chaotic thing. I mean, the next... See, I have one plan that I want to, hopefully don't forget, to make happen next time I do a Stationeers stay through, is to start with power distribution. Like the first thing I want to build, once survival has been established, I want to make sure that I have power distribution figured out. Power management. Central, cleaned up, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. So we have a deep miner facility with 2 deep miners, and they are producing, I don't know what exactly, they're producing only iron, that's all we're getting, and oh my god, we have 47, we have 24 full kilograms of iron in here. Because they are smelted here, and before that they're stacked here, and here before they're smelted. Yeah, that's a lot of iron, man. And speaking of Iron Man, I don't remember if I died yet in this playthrough. Yeah, my little rocket place. And someone said, dude, and they're very right. Why are you using those rocket tanks, which are not insulated and not available in an insulated form? Why are you not just using inline tanks, which are insulated? Then you don't need that heating stuff here, which blasts through electricity and so forth. And I agree 90% with that sentiment, and will possibly do that next time. But the 10% in me are saying, this is nice engineering, man. That's interesting. That something's happening over here. I don't want to nullify the simulation. I want to live it. I want to dwell on it. What does this rocket do? We have a pressure-fed engine down here, I believe. It's called engine. It's you know, it's, I wanted to call it George, but then I ended up with engine. And then we have a chip here that does nothing but controlling these pipe heaters. And then we have a thing here that I can remote control to get some pressure in here. Which could just be the pressure that naturally is in these containers, but this allows me to fine-tune and then, for example, soft land the rocket. I like that. I want to play with that. It's my toy, man. Then here we have something that is for gas mining, which brings in ISIS. You know, these guys with the beards. And then up here we have the rocket scanners, scanner stuff. Yep. Which I'm not yet fully familiar with because these scanner heads are a bit confusing to me. I don't know why I placed this here, possibly just to sit here and interact with that without having to fall to the ground or needing the jetpack the whole time. Hey, these the angled thingies, often we don't need them, but here it is so very useful. Look at that, exactly the right spot. Shining into the thing down here. I should have one on the other side too, but I don't have a tower there yet. Here we have the fuel mixer. For which I built a pretty cool automation. This one here makes sure that we get oxygen to up to a certain level, 20 megapascals-ish, and then it will heat it up also so that we have it at 0 Celsius, 0 degrees Celsius, 0 Kelvin, 0 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Here we have volatiles, which are coming from various sources, one of which being here, the very manual source. But, well, then here we have a fuel mixer that, here we see the mixer ratio, and I can set it to, this is the manual mode, I believe. Oh, is that the automatic mode? I don't remember. And that will then slowly shift this around, like you just saw there, to achieve the right mixture. But that is actually not viable anymore, because the pressure in here has grown so much that my fuel mixer will just end up being... I mean, this is fine. 0.66 is a very good ratio for the volatiles, so we don't need that more precisely. But I mean, the nicely elaborate fuel mixer with auto adjustment that I made here is no longer viable, so I have to come up with something else. I mean, there's a manual mode here, so that's not the problem. I can adjust. Why is this thing on? Because I'm in the room. Let me just leave.
Hunger critical.
Sorry, I'm going. Hello. So many light sources. This is just this is a mixed fuel, ready-made fuel, but it is not actually used from the fuel mixer. The idea is this: the fuel that is mixed is in those containers in there that you saw, and it is also in this pipe. This pipe piece here is part still of the fuel mixer, and this pipe piece here also, so you can see the pressure in the fuel mixer is 45.2 megapascals. Let's verify. The mixer is 45.2 megapascals. It just goes out there through the ceiling, and if there's something wrong with the mixture, this dude will be on in here and also out there. It's a dude, I checked, has it on. That was not a political statement. Just me playing around with words. Okay, and this then I can pump with this guy over here into the tower thing, so that I can fuel my rocket. And I can also pump that empty, but for that I don't use this pump, which I cannot invert. I could use a turbo pump, which I can invert, but no. Instead I'm using this line here, where I can then pump that into this holder. That's what the purpose of this tank is here. What's in there? Fuel mix. What did you expect to find in there, dude? Anyway, so and then here I have another pump where I can pump that back into the fuel mixer if I so wish. So it's relatively flexible, and at some point I even had a little pipe here and a canister holder to get some fuel in a canister. Maybe I should put that actually in here. That would be more appropriate, because here I have also a place for a tank that I can fill. I think it's even automated. I don't recall precisely. Yeah, that's the thing, you know, implementing it, then it kind of works. Yeah, but is the usability good? This is not a stellar implementation. This is just the best base I've built so far. Well, it's not really a good one. Anyway, this is probably the activity regulator for this year, because we have space ice still coming in from the rocket, I think. Let's see how full the rocket still is. Engine, where is it then? Cargo storage, there we go. And it contains, can we not see that here? Quantity 0. Okay, it's empty. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing yet in this here, in this long purple thingy with the space ice. And I didn't do that. It was just a coincidence. This thing just turned on automatically because some conditions were fulfilled, and that is controlled by this chip here, I believe, which is pretty full of itself. And this makes sure that the facility can be turned off. Yeah, that was good timing. And then what comes out here is whatever this thing farts out. That goes here, will be heated until it has the appropriate temperature. And I don't recall why exactly. Right, okay, what am I saying? This is for gas. I want to get the gas out of here, which goes here on this side into the filtration unit, which makes sure that we get volatiles, and the rest goes there. And this is the liquid part that's coming out, so in case we have some of that, which we sometimes do, that gets heated up in here, so we don't have a problem. And then it's being shoved over here, or rather, I mean, what am I saying? This is basically connected, it is one with this gas here, except there's one game simulation step in between here, but in principle, technically it's one container. So it makes sure that it is not too cold. What is too cold? 0 degrees Celsius, I believe. Oh, 20, okay, that's fine then too. And that's all the crap that we have in there. And I can see we have, actually, I find it a bit confusing. Why do we have 66 kilomoles of volatiles in there? I think I should work on this. I mean, really, I haven't seen this yet. 66 kilomoles of volatiles. 66,000 moles. That is so much volatiles, or many, I don't know if they are countable. How do I get them out of here then? Well, with a, I would need a purge valve. Let me actually, I'm wondering, isn't this already set? Here we have a condensation valve, so if something in here has too high pressure, and yes it does, then that can condense and land in here. And this could also happen to the volatiles, I guess. Somehow, maybe, who knows, whatever. And, oh, a new day has begun. So, the sun is currently on the horizon. Else the counter wouldn't have counted up. I think that's how that works. Alright, there's... Jupiter is right there. That's why we have no stars. Where was I? So, and that's that. But we don't have a valve that goes in the opposite direction, huh? What is this? This is a pressurant valve. A pressurant valve? why do I have a pressure valve here? That doesn't make sense. What is happening? So here I have a liquid stuff, pipe stuff, and so forth, and here I have a pressure valve which makes sure that we have pressure in this pipe. A pressure of at least or maximum 5,000 kilopascals. Why? Oh, very simple, because the gas that's here is garbage gas, and all the garbage gas I want in here. Why though we ended up having volatiles, I don't know. That must have come in here then via this line. There must have been liquid here, I don't know, but okay, obviously I need to somehow get the volatiles out of here. So I should make a connection between this and this actually here. Okay, this is for condensation, and I also need the opposite one for gases, which would then mean that this dude is basically running the whole time. Motherfucker, now I understand. The volatile... What the fuck? Huh. That explains where the volatiles came from. There's no more filtering happening here, so everything is garbage. Wow. Okay, let me just feed and then we have to solve that one. Wow. Big wow. I should put that on the list of alerts that I get, man. I should use bigger filters also. I should maybe cheat in... what's the word? Catalytic filters. Which you can get actually from a trader, so I should cheat those in. Filters that never run out, you know? Can't believe I'm doing this playthrough again. So what's in here? Same shit, different gas. Okay, yeah, what can I do there? First we need filters. Let's see how sophisticated a filter could possibly make as a first step to remedy this fucked up situation. So we have this one, and we have the heavy ones and the medium ones. The heavy ones need stellite. I have stellite. Where do I have stellite? Somewhere over the rainbow. Let's see. Here, for example, I have stellite. So I make 2 of these dudes. And let's check out the filters. Vola film. So we have the filter, and can we see how big the stack size 100 stack size? Ah, yeah, I think this expresses how big the filter is. Maybe, if we're lucky. But there's no stack size here. Oh, yes, it is 100. That's not helpful at all, man. And here are the heavy ones. I never made these. It's the first time in my 2,300 plus hours of Stationeers that I make heavy filters. Yep. Okay, filters have run out. And so have I. I've run out of the station. that's why we have all those volatiles in there. So to solve this, I would have to pipe these back into here. Okay, well, it's a very dirty solution, because this will then slowly and gradually filter out the volatiles over a very long time, which means that the filtration unit will be running for a very long time, which will waste the filters a lot. But that's also then a good way to stress test these dudes and find out how big the cock is, you know? So what I would have to do is I would have to use the expansion valve. I think, I'm not sure. Or should I mean, if I use the purge valve, then this would lead to liquids evaporating. Except if I make sure that there's some minimum pressure in there of gas. Yeah, that's the answer. But then I would get all the gas in there. Let me first try the expansion valve, whether that does something. So I want one expansion valve that goes from here to there. And, well, let's get 2 expansion valves. Do I have valves nearby, maybe? I do. Oh yeah, okay. Expansion valve, how many? 7. Let's see if that does something. Expansion valve. Apparently I didn't bring any pipes, huh? Yeah, but these are not insulated, and I prefer insulated. And liquid pipes I also need. Where is all that stuff? Is that in the station where I changed the suit? I think so. Oh well, what are these? Not insulated. Okay, so back into the station we go. I mean, flying hard against something at that speed should actually do something, I think. At least make sound, at least scare us a little. Oh yeah, there we go. There we have 13 insulated pipes, that should help. I don't know what that smart canister is good for. Fuel, I guess I used that on the furnace. I want to take that with me. What's this here? That's the jetpack basic. Interesting. And then we have this construction stuff, and what is this there? Configuration cartridge. Let's put that with the laptop. And the EVA suit, which is already at damage 26%. Anything in there? Nope. So... let me just check my food reserves, since I really didn't play this in a while. 30%... Do I have something here that would allow me to make bread? We have lots of flour, we have lots of soy oil, so yeah, that is possible. And so I don't need to do anything with the plants right now. And then some insulated liquid pipes, if that is at all possible, please. Yep. And what's that? Oh, that's a helmet. Is there anything in there? Dude, yeah, buttons. Now, while I'm here... Goodbye, beginnings of the game. Do I hear this thing kicking in? I do, so we will get some resources then. So the thing was just full, well then let's empty it proper. Really? Okay, I just didn't push that hard enough. Because it will not empty itself, only if it needs to. That's how it's intentionally developed. Yeah, we'll get to that. So here we have liquid pipes. They have to cool down a little and dry before they are not usable.
Power critical.
Fuck off. Okay. Then on this side we have, well, these are basically brown shit. So, insulated pipes. Okay, now it's time for the grand experiment. Will this actually do something? How would I find out? Well, I can see here whether the amount of volatiles is reducing if I turn them on, but those are kilomoles. How would I really see that? Here we have a pipe, there's nothing in it. Well, that should work. Okay, we're getting lots of stress in here. Not good. Let's turn both of them off again. So that's being reduced now, and that is the expansion valve. So if something here is like horny for being gas, but what if it is already gas? Can it then come out here also? I don't know. Allows for moving liquids from a liquid pipe into a gas pipe. Only allows liquids to pass in one direction. Typically, this is done to allow the liquid to evaporate into a gas as part of an air conditioning loop. Okay, I'm not really the wiser now, sorry. Though it does sound as if what I'm planning here won't work. I would need the purge valve. Okay, let's turn this thing on again. One of them. Let's see how bad that would be. Stress, 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 stress. Latent heat is increasing. Interesting. So here we have pollutant that is evaporating to gas, and therefore it is getting colder. So we have a temperature that's decreasing. We see that 9.5 degrees, 9.4 degrees, and over here, well, I guess it won't make much of a difference because it's so much gas. I believe, I'm not sure, call me uninformed, but latent heat, I think, is the heat that we would have if this would evaporate, but I don't know, maybe it's the exact opposite. Let's see. What we're seeing here is that we're getting lots of pollutant that is currently in the process of raining down, condensing, and in the same moment we're seeing the latent heat increasing. Now the question is, what happens if I turn this off so that this here stops, well, stressing out, and this is then empty again at some point? Will the latent heat here stay the way it is, or will it also go away again because of... Oh, my power is gone. Oh, now you can see the suit is very well insulated. Temperature is falling, temperature is falling, temperature is falling. Ha 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 ha. Caught you.
Oxygen low.
Oh, didn't? Shit. Or, I mean, latent heat is... Okay, do we still have something in here? Yeah, we had 300 moles, I believe. Now it's 40, 30, so soon we have 0. And what's happening in here? The latent heat, it is decreasing. Decreasing. So we have 34 moles, 32, 31 moles, and so forth that are currently condensing, becoming liquid moles. Liquid gas. Liquid moles! You know, the thing that you run over with your car? Anyway, so, I'm so heartless. I'm not heartless. I just assume heart is the default, so I can joke as if I don't need one, because it's presumed. You don't have one? You do have one, right? See? So we can joke about shit. You faggots. So, 800 joules, and it's going away. So that is either the gas form of the pollutant expressing as latent heat, or it is in the process of condensing material. And I would assume the latter, because there's other stuff in there, oxygen, volatiles, and once this condensing stuff is gone away, it doesn't go away entirely, it appears. The latent heat, it looks like, will also have gone away, so I guess it really just applies to gas that is in the process of condensing. It's telling us this is the amount of joules that are currently incoming, and that's why the overall temperature then is increasing. And this temperature here would be decreasing. So in other words, what I have here is... What? Really? Is that... What? I mean, I'm not a phase change noob, but it's like with my orbital mechanics. See, when I've played Flight of Nova, for the first time I had real contact with orbital mechanics. And dude, I must say, that game is so great. If you haven't... I mean, Flight of Nova is never discounted, but it has a demo. So, get the demo, I would say. I don't know if you can actually fly into orbit in the demo. I didn't try that. I should try that, actually. Because it's really fun to fly from the ground into orbit, to accelerate to the right orbital speed, and then also doing that at the right time, and then in orbit navigating to the station, which lets orbital mechanics come in, so it's not that very simple. Only once you're close enough and once the differences are low enough, you will basically just be able to go there. And then docking and all that, that's such a great experience, and I must repeat, I nailed it on the first attempt, even though it looked ridiculous, because I had no knowledge of how that worked, didn't understand the indicators, nothing, but it worked. And it was such, I mean, it was the greatest in-game success experience I have had, except for my first days in Stationeers. That's how great that is. So, Flight of Nova. Why am I even talking about this? I have no clue. How did I get to Flight of Nova? Yeah, orbital mechanics. I had, of course, the basic grasp of orbital mechanics like all of you have, which is that why orbiting? Because you're falling down to the surface. You don't want to do that, so you fly away from the planet. But then you'd be flying away from the planet. How about you fly sideways to the planet, just fast enough that you're not flying away, but, you know, the balance between flying away and falling to the ground. That's an orbit. You're flying, but you're falling, but you're missing. So that's what everybody understands. And also what I guess everybody understands, or at least should, is that the closer to the gravitational source you are, as in the planet in this case, the faster you have to orbit, because that means that gravity will also be stronger. If the gravity is non-present, then you don't need to orbit at all. You don't need to move sideways to fall and miss. If there's strong gravity, you need to fall sideways very strongly, obviously, so that's how it works. But at this, the first-person experience and how to then interact with such an orbit, all of that completely was missing. And now, I guess, I will now, in the same way, I might now have the experience of phase change I mean, of course, I know that phase change, this is the same thing with my orbital knowledge, and you have the knowledge also, I guess, and probably more than that, in Stationeers, that if something evaporates, it cools down, if it condenses, it heats up, and so you could use that, including the pressure and the you know, phase change diagram, could use that to intentionally liquefy something and then cool and then evaporate it again to some gas form, and therefore make a cooling or heating cycle. But I have never really used those in practice. I tried a little bit, but never really built a thing where I would say, okay, this is my cooling system, you see it works with phase change, or my heating system, you see it works with phase change. I've never really done this. And now I'm seeing this here, and I see that if I turn this on, I will get gas here, and this will cool down. You can see it cools down. Why does it cool down? Because it's evaporating. The gas is coming... Actually, what is happening? I believe what's happening is that in here we have gas that would like to evaporate but can't because the pressure is too high. This here allows it to follow its ambitions by just come over here, dude, evaporate, which then cools this down. But then we have the condensation valve, which then actually no, we have this thing over here. What happens if I turn this off? So we don't have some kind of infinite non-energized cooling cycle thing here. And the stress is increasing, so that's a problem. And eventually this line would actually burst. And I have no measures for that in place. I mean, I have the filtration unit, but what happens if it runs out of... Oh, what am I saying? If the filters run out, that's not a problem. That would empty this. Okay, that's fine then. So something changing over here? Not really. But if we pump this back... And this thing here will get gas, and this gas in here, because of the high pressure, will then condensate. And so what I'm investing is the energy of the filtration unit's pump to make sure that the gas goes in here and liquefies. And so in here we have an increasing temperature, or at least so I thought. Why is it not actually increasing? Because I'm pumping in here is cold. That's kind of a problem. Here it's evaporating, and it has to, so that it can go in there. Wait, what am I saying? Yeah, it is evaporating because there's not enough pressure in there. What would happen though if the pressure in here would be high enough for pollutant to just stay liquid? Would these guys then kick in? I'm not sure. I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. That's a very, very complex dynamic thing to think through. Or once you have the experience, it's probably easy. I don't have the experience after all this time. Laughably, I haven't made those experiments yet. I have to get rid of an alert. Go away. Okay. So are we pumping, or what's happening? We are pumping. And why is this not going away? Because it's still open, that's why, idiot. So, I mean, the thermal situation isn't changing because everything is insulated. I'm going from A to B and back to A, so why would it change? Well, arguably, the fact that I'm using the pump here, which induces energy from the universe into the system, should increase the overall energy in the thermal sense. That's something that should happen, and maybe it even does. I'm not saying it doesn't. Huh, okay, that's enough thought wasted on this. For now. But okay, wait, one thing. I wanted to get rid of the pollutant, and what we get rid of the volatiles, and what I saw now is that this doesn't work. I cannot get the volatiles out of here like this. I would have to use a purge valve, which is part of the pressure regulator kit, I believe. Oh well. Yeah, let's solve that before I forget. No, letter, stop grabbing me. Fuck off. Fuck off. Yeah, about that. Yeah, 60 frames my ass, huh? Well, computer's quite busy right now. Let's see, it has ops complaining about compression rate and something like that. Nope, it's not. Okay, regulator. For liquids? Oh, that's a good question, and the answer is no. Because the pressure regulator liquid doesn't have all the things that the pressure regulator regular has. Spit it out, man. So here we have the purge valve, which is what we need, which will pump from the liquid side on the right to the gaseous side on the other side on the left. Hello, sun. So how much power is now coming in from the solar panel thing? Can I see that somewhere even? Not really, because what's currently coming in is like 9,000 watts. And I don't know which portion of that is coming in from the wind turbines. And once I've found out, the situation has changed so that... But yeah, that's all very amateurish and very low level and not good. And why these guys are turning on and off the whole time, I don't know. The batteries are all urging for a charge, and there's constant power coming in. So that these things are turning on and off the whole time is not logical. Sorry, that's just wrong. But there must be a bug. What else would that be? I mean, they would show the behavior that they're showing when there's no consumption. Well, obviously there's consumption. Look here. That goes directly into the batteries. You cannot have more consumption than that. I mean, literally not, except by building more batteries. So what's the power ratio? Also indicated by that compensation tower. It is 40%. And is it increasing? It is increasing. So we are fine, I guess. If not, then I can toss in some coal somewhere. Yeah, here's my little coal burner thing for emergencies. Pressure regulator. So I would need to build a pressure regulator line now that pumps into this pipe. No, well, I think I can just remove one of these dudes, because I don't need both of them, and everything else has already been set up, so that's nice. Hand drill? Okay. Oh well. Because it's a device. You are a device. You're a plot device. Satan's plot device.
Hunger, caution.
That's you. I'm just kidding.
Or am I?
Anyway, so here we have the purge valve, which needs power. Conveniently, there's a cable right here. Okay, now what level to set this to? It's set to 50 kilopascals. Let's see, here we have the vertical angle is, well, 6.3 kilopascals. And the value it is set to is 50 kilopascals, which is higher than that. In other words, if I use this, I will reduce the pressure in there very low, but not below the threshold where everything is just gas. So if I would do that, then even the last bit of liquid in there would evaporate, would cool this thing down as fuck, and there would be very cold gas coming in here, and the system would then deal with that, and there's no reason to do any of that. Alright, let's see what happens. Okay, we're getting volatiles, pollutant, everything. I'm hungry yet again. Not the country, I mean, I need to eat something. 66.4 kilomoles. Oh, no, well, percent. 66.9 thousand moles of volatiles. Where would those go, though, if I may ask so? What do we have here? We have a pressure of 40 megapascals, and well, I'm confused. Does this thing not stop running? What's the max pressure that's set here? Oh, how does this work in this place? I don't recall. Import. Save. Edit. So, what does this do? We have a vent here in the volatiles maker. There's this arc furnace thing here, and what's supposed to come in here, I believe, is recycled and shredded biomatter. Here's a shredder for biomatter. Biomatter isn't yet coming in because the greenhouse, as you can see, without all the stuff that was tossed here on the ground for the news episode, of course I make copies and work with those,
Waste tank caution.
is not yet ready. For that I will definitely need the Larry arms, and for that I needed the advanced materials, for which I then made this over here, which is bonk, my advanced furnace room, for which I then also printed, after I had done that and used it, the hard suit, because it's pretty toasty in here. It's 400 degrees Celsius and 240 kilopascals. And is there anything in there? Yep, there's pressure in there. So that stuff could also then be used, I guess. And I haven't... well, I have this place to put it, if need be. And then later I can deal with that eventually. So there's Mr. Furnace Dude, and its temperature is the same as the room, has been equalized. So that then shows why it would make sense to have the room like this. Not particularly for making solder, obviously, but I mean, you know, win some, lose some. I had to make choices. These are the choices I made. Fuck you. Okay, then here we have a little maintenance opening, which I haven't used yet so far, so the temperature in there is probably low, and I don't want to waste this. Can I open this like this? I wonder if I shouldn't weld this shut, but it seems like an emergency hatch, so let's not do that. This is the power for the room. And this is just some gas that I lugged over here, that's all it is. It's just, you know, damage came from overpressurizing it slightly, but because my programming was stupid. And still is. Yeah, I mean the particular implementation of my programming. I've been doing this for 40 years, but doing this here in the game is quite a different story. Anyway, so we have how much gas in there still? Why am I doing this? I did this in the previous episode also, which I looked at for a short time before recording this one. There.
Power low.
3/4 full still. So yeah, that's still good enough. So much for this room. I call it the mushroom, because the entire reality in here is wafting around.
Waste tank critical.
Oh, my waste tank. It is currently criticizing me for my life's choices. Little does it know that all the choices I made are the best possible choices I could possibly have made. Literally. Anyway, so let's swap my waste canister with this here, unleashing it into the station, and then we resume operations. How are we looking here? 28 megapascals, 152 degrees Celsius. I should let this thing show this value, actually. I mean, it would be very cool, and that's not where we're at yet. Oh, we have condensation. How much stress we have? It's not yet so important. If we could have some user interface that we could design ourselves, and the devs have alluded at some point that we will get such a thing, but maybe I'm reproducing this wrong, or maybe the way they phrased it wasn't so very, like, maybe 1% probability, and the way I'm phrasing it sounds like 50. Because I said they wanted to implement Lua at some point, Lua, L-U-A, with which you then could theoretically also lay out the user interfaces, but maybe they will be the ones doing this and we won't have access to it. I don't know. But Imagine our own user interfaces. I'm getting this information from this section of the station and so forth, including interaction, because that would also then be able to be buttonable, hypothetically. That would be, man, my pants are getting tight. Anyway. So this is happening. So 66.9 is what we had. Now we have, I believe we had 66.9 kilomoles, now we have 64.8 kilomoles. But what are the filters doing? 100%. Okay, I liked to hear that. Then I was actually, good thing I'm picking this up now, there could have been a storm. Then the laptop would have been gone. I wanted to check what the decision concept is of this filtration unit here. So let's just look at, I mean, these are just the definitions. I just made learn programming in Stationeers thing spontaneously, which was kind of following almost the same concept that I did today here, where I was kind of frozen in place, and I said, you know, my flow, my personal flow is currently frozen in place because there's so many competing tendencies going on and I cannot make a choice. That's what that is. I'm looking, could you do this? Yeah, I'd like to do that, but I can't muster the will to really do it. Then I'm looking, what else do I want to do? This also. And the problem is the competition there. I cannot collapse into a decision. And so then I try to pick the thing for which I have established the strongest flow for myself, for my mind, for my intellect, where I could then also make a video like this here, which is of course Stationeers, which is also what most of the people on this channel want to see. And I believe there are even some assholes amongst you who would choose to downvote something that is not Stationeers just because it is not Stationeers. I mean, with over 3,000 people, I mean, the patterns of downvoting that I was observing in the backstage make me think those things sometimes. Anyway, well, if it's not you, then feel happy and welcome and so forth. And, well, let's hug. There, I just hugged you. Okay. Okay, whatever. Didn't. So that's then why I made this Stationeers programming episode, which is pretty good one, I think. Pretty talky once again, but okay, I didn't want to take the time to edit it, which makes it take like 3 weeks longer, or 2 weeks, because that's the amount of fucking work it takes, at least on work weeks. In other weeks, maybe it takes the entire week, morning to evening. Anyway, the reason I'm talking about that is because in that episode I suggested that maybe all this stuff up here shouldn't be up here at all. There should just be a call here initialized to a subroutine, then we have start and yield and the meet. And right now I'm thinking of that not just because I'm seeing all this crap here, but also because I realize what I really need to read here so that I know what the chip does is the code where it actually does something. So in this way, it should be intention-based, right? Initialize, then start and yield and blah. So let's see what this thing is doing. It's loading the pressures on all 3 sides of the filtration unit. It is controlling the arc furnace in the usual way, as in, is something in there, then turn it on and activate, otherwise don't. It is reading the gas sensor in the little box here, which will have shredded biomatter and recycled, so that would be actual biomass coming in here. Something like this. Whatever. I set this up blindly based upon something I did in the past. So maybe I'm not reproducing this verbally correctly. Anyway, then it will be burnt here, which will release a shit ton of volatiles, and will also release. Oh no! It's eating my legs. It's eating the charcoal that's coming out. There are plenty, and that will then go into. I don't know where it goes. It goes down there. All right, it goes here. It will be stacked, and then will be shed out. Is there something in there? There is not. And the volatiles will then be sucked away based upon what this gas sensor says. This not yet spray painted gas sensor right there. Now we're fine. Okay. So if there's gas in there, then is greater than 0, then we will turn it into a logic statement, and the active vent in there will be on and will then pump something into the purple gas insulated pipe line here that is on the input side of the filtration unit. Now I'm checking, is the input side does it have a pressure greater than 0? But then we turn it on, and that's already the mistake, because this means I will just indefinitely increase the pressure of my volatiles tank. And so currently I'm setting myself up for explosion. That's what's happening. (106 kilomoles). Okay, that doesn't tell me much. Pressure is 41.1 megapascals. Yeah, we cannot see that with higher precision here. That's a very cool mix of genres in music, I find. DJ Rico, Hail Up My Bay, which you can see on screen also conveniently. What a great channel this is, oh my god. No. So this thing is now pumping because
Hydration critical.
because there's something on the input side. So we'll keep doing that indefinitely until we have all those 63 kilomoles in here, where we already have 106 kilomoles. Obviously, that's more kilomoles than this guy can digest. And what are we looking like fuel gas wise? 45 megapascals. I have too much fuel. I mean, or too small storage. That's the thing. Maybe I should make another tank like this one, except on the roof, and except not like that one. Or maybe another small one in here. There's no spaceman. I just wanted you to go into spaceman. What is the next thing to manifest? Which is what everybody's doing with their will all the time. You're creating reality. Every decision that you make is creating reality. Or I'm not saying you're creating the universe. I'm saying I mean, not in this particular talk. I'm saying you I'm saying you're creating the shape of the moment. You're altering the shape of the moment. You're painting on that collective canvas that we're sharing and that we're living in, writing words into that interactive book that was written for us by the universe, but that we can also write into and then experience. We are not just experiencing the words the universe is writing, we're also experiencing the words that you are writing, and your words are just as real. I mean, maybe not just as impactful, depending, maybe you're operating a chemical plant in a third world country, so those people know that your words, so to speak, are just as real as reality's words when they are wondering why their skin is no longer there. I mean, in principle, I mean, no matter the scale, we can say that any manifestation that you cause is one that is as real as reality itself. Every little thing that you do, how you present yourself, will you make way for the other when you're approaching them, and so forth and so on. I mean, the examples are gazillion-fold, obviously, on this super complex interaction system down here that we call, whatever we call it, mankind, society, civilization, the world, life, history, hertory, itery. And I believe the people, that humans are not reflecting really what that means. That their will is responsible for co-creating the moment that we all share in. Well, make it the best possible moment you can make. Imagine everybody would be doing that. What great fucking world that would be. And if you don't do it, why should the others? Or if the others don't do it, why should you? But you know, someone needs to start it. So if you're the kind of guy who has some kind of rocket drive that just needs to turn on the fucking drive, man. I mean, we all want to fly, and someone needs to do the pushing. Of course, we all need to do it, but I mean, they have to be some kind of early adopters. and those are the people I hope to be talking on this channel, talking to. So if the pressure on the input side is non-zero, the mode will be respective, and that's not good. This means that this thing will constantly be on, and then we eventually will have an explosion. I'm aware of this now, that's why I was even surveying the source code. And I can do something about that, because I can check the pressure on the output side 1. Do we have pressure output 1? Yes, we do, which is the real side. Okay then, I will set R0 to 0 with a relative thingy. Sure, why not? Branch relative LT by 2 lines if this is less than 40,000. 1, 2, 3, 40 megapascals if the output side 1, which is where the volatiles should go, has a pressure that is less than 40 megapascals, then we jump 1, 2, 1, 2, then we end up here. Else we don't. So then that will be nullified, and this should now show as I'm putting that chip in. Aha, it turned off. Like it should. That was its job. It's an office job. It's off now. What else does it do? Pressure on the output side 2. If that is greater than 0, then the Purge valve will be on. That's the one that makes sure that the gas fucks off into the big garbage container. Then here we have the tank big insulated volatiles maker. Right, okay, I see. That's the heaters. That turns the heaters on when the temperature is less than 0. So the temperature currently is 20 degrees. I don't know how it did that. Probably just because... I don't know. But not because of the heaters. And then we resume operations down here. The lever space eyes, if that is... if we are loading it into a 0, whether it is open. Then I'm saying the pressure on the input side, if that is less than 20,000, we jump over 2 lines. Else I say crusher suppression pressure too high. Crusher suppression pressure too high. What does it do with these logic values down here? Ah, here, okay. Here we are making decision based upon that, and then we are jumping... No, wait, what? What am I doing? Oh, right, these are registers, of course. That's one of the reasons that I'm not too fond of using aliases, but rather use the registers that want to use. So if the crusher suppression tank too cold, if the tank is below 0 degrees, or if the pressure is too high, whatever too high means, what do I do with this particular thing then? R0 is 0, and the crusher, so the crusher will be turned on based upon what R0 says. That's another thing. When I read these blocks, I should start at the bottom, because that's the conclusion of all the thinking. What will it do? In other words, maybe it makes sense to do the thinking in a subroutine. Not in particular this language here, where the editor is relatively inconvenient, where you only have a few lines, and so forth. But in principle, and actually it would be pretty cool if you could just have a subroutine here in a window, you could say, hey, collapse the code into one line. I click on the thing, I see the code, I write the code, I close the thing, and here I just have the magic word that I wrote there, and that magic word is the magic spell that I created. We have all these lines, and it's a little window here. So the little window, the little block, does the thing, and then I use that thing that was done, and then I say, okay, manifest it in the speaker volume or whatever I want to do. So the space ice thing should be on if the pressure on the output side 1 is less than 2 megapascals, then we jump over this, else we nullify it. So this one makes sure that the filtration unit will not be on, caused by the crusher. But now that I have this pressure valve, no, this purge valve in there for cleaning out the volatiles that are in the wrong tank, the filter will always have something to do, the filtration unit. So that's why I needed this additional stuff up there. Anyway, but that's why it was now urgent. So here, if the crusher if the tank is too cold, then if that's equal to 0, then the tank is not too cold. Then we just will jump down here. Else we don't want the crusher to run. Then we want first the tank stuff to heat up, because else things just get out of hand. Adding more and more gas, no. First heat this up. Oops, that was too much. Wait, I have to adapt the volume within the player itself from 30 to 20, so I have more fine-grained resolution when adjusting the browser value with my hotkeys that I made thanks to auto hotkey. And thanks to the AI that taught me how. Tank too cold, la la la. So, crusher suppression pressure too high. What does it do there? If the pressure is not too high, if that warning is equal to 0, then we jump over it, else we also don't want to let the crusher run. So how are these values set then? Well, I'm loading the lever here, and then I'm saying if the pressure on the input side is less than 20 megapascals, then I want to jump here. But if it's 20 megapascals, then the pressure is too high, so I'm writing that down. And down here I'm no. And then here I'm saying if the pressure on the input side is greater than 19 megapascals, then I jump by 2 lines. So in other words, if the pressure is not greater than that, then I will clear the pressure too high situation. So what I have here is I created a window of 1 megapascals width from 19 to 20 megapascals, in which the decision will be made to let or let not run the crusher to add to that overall scenario. But down here I'm checking, is the branch relative equal to 0. Yeah, if the pressure is not too high, then I jump by 2 lines. But if it's too high, then I said, yeah, okay, all of that has been solved. Alright. Nothing more to see here. So I need actually more fuel storage. I mean, basically this entire thing could be considered a starter base, and now with all the knowledge that I've gained here, I could start building a new one, like over there, and you know, maybe we can even find a place where there's different deep miner outputs, so I could take that aspect in stride. That would be cool. And I actually found one, and that would be interesting, huh? To have to go down there, where I have actually marked a place somewhere. Don't think we can see that from here. It's probably further out, where I have 2 steel frames of different color. At least they're of color, that's the most important thing. And they express what is found in their region, which is not pure iron, but is some stuff, and in the other region I find some other stuff. So that's the best of both worlds then. And maybe I could start building the actual main big motherfucking station over there, instead of just having a deep miner outpost. One where I organize things better from scratch. But no, I'm not going to do that right now, obviously. And the music is still too loud. Alrighty, so let's look at the rest here. I actually did that already. Next thing then to build would be here the greenhouse. How long is the video so far? Almost 2 hours. So maybe I should start a little bit with this and then shut it down and then do something else. Maybe make some tanks so we get some more volatiles over there stored. Or should I do something on the front of Green housing. Maybe you should print some Larry so we get that show on the road. Where can I do that? Electro printer, I would assume. Larry dog. Kid Larry. Dog hydroponics. I don't quite understand what the difference is between the dog hydroponics and the Larry. Because isn't the Kid Larry? Let's just look at the Kid Larry. Kid Larry. Which can build what? The Larry dog. Oh, that's awesome, I guess. So the Larry Hydro is then the Larry dog hydroponics, which is a structure that we can build from the Kid hydroponics, I would assume. So that's what that is. I just don't understand really what the difference is between the hydroponics Larry. I made a Larry video at some point, but I don't remember there being a hydroponics Larry in there at that point. Anyway, let's make the hydroponics Larry because obviously I'm going to need one. Larry hydroponics. Inconel, Hasselloy, and Assholloy. Assholloy. And actually Hasselloy is the Assholloy because that's why it's called that, I guess. It is a hassle to use or to make happen. And then we need also Inconel. Man, the frame rate isn't good. I'm curious. Hopefully this isn't a bad mistake. So what if I reduce the volume, the resolution to 1920 for a second there? Apply. It's still not entirely 60 frames, but it's looking better. When it comes to frame rate, I mean. But overall it looks like I'm looking through a fog. It's not pleasant. So undo that. Hard. And I think it's even that fast again at this point. Maybe because the entire display system of the game was reset and is now fresh again. Who knows? So that's an interesting trick. Okay, how many of these do I want to print? How expensive are those? Astroloid, this stuff is very expensive. Let's make 4 as a start. Huh, a bit dark in here. Right, I should have printed some plant lights. And these windows, they aren't yet windows, actually. Do I have the materials here to make them windows? I don't. What does it take? Plastic sheets, I would assume. Plastic sheets and then glass, I would say. Yeah, plastic and glass is what I need here, en masse. And then I should have these guys on the ground. I guess right here at the where they belong, right? Device or tray? I'm not sure. I have to do experiments. I cannot just manifest this entire thing and then, hey, this is what I'm doing, mass producing. I have to first do some science here, basically. And then let's also do one of these. Pipes, should have kept them here. So we need water. Where will I find water? I so far dug it up here on the planet, but I realize I have too much fuel. What will I ever do with that? Oh, we could make some water, which will then be fucking hot. I would say I would lug over some portable canister to a place where I then do that. That feels more correct to me to do. How much power is coming into this guy here? That is the entire 100 kilowatt blast, which could be 500 by the way. This one is set to 10,000 watts, because I thought that would be enough. Ha ha ha! And now I need Well, I need a filtration unit. Insulated pipes, that's the thing. I also need atmosphere in here, so that's the thing. There's a lot of stuff that I still need to do here. You know what? What is it? 2.5 fucking hours. Yeah, I want to shut this down now. But I have now seen what the necessities are and have gained momentum here again, and I've did some things and repaired some things and I've talked about some things, so I guess it was a pretty round and full video, and I hope I annoyed you a lot. No, I didn't. I mean, I hope I didn't. That's not why I do these. And when I say something that does annoy you, that's not the purpose. Usually, at least, it is. In 99.999% of the cases when I do something that annoys you, that's not the purpose. But I would do it then, even if I would know that it may annoy you, or actually know that it does annoy you, because of the overall end goal. The annoyance would just be maybe a means to an end. I don't think so. It would just be something that unpleasantly is standing in the way of the actual outcome, which usually is to convey the truth.